This morning on Take It Off Today, the math of dieting. Whether you're trying to lose weight or just stay right where you are on the scale, it's essential to know your numbers. Heidi Skolnik is a nutritionist with the Hospital for Special Surgery here in New York and for the New York Giants as well. Heidi, welcome back. Good to see you.
Good morning.
This is about being realistic. This is about people who say, okay, I've heard all the fad diets. I've heard people who say they lose 20 pounds a week. Throw that out the window. Be realistic. 1 pound a week. That's the number we're shooting for.
And for some people, it's even less, but it's consistency that will count.
All right, so to get to this point, you've got to figure out what your ideal weight is. How do we calculate that?
For ideal weight for women, you take for every inch you are over 5 feet, and you multiply that by 5, and then you add 100.
Okay.
So for instance, if you're 5'5", that'd be 25 plus 100, and that's 125 pounds.
That is your ideal weight. However, that is not always your realistic weight.
Correct.
Explain the difference.
Well, to begin with, it doesn't take into account lean mass. So if you're athletic, you might have more lean mass, weighs more, but you're fitter and trimmer. If there's medications, depends how you lay down your weight. If you're more of an apple versus pear shape, when you put on the weight.
So how do you figure out your realistic weight?
Well, realistic weight, and this is very, very important. Realistic weight is the weight you can maintain by eating healthily and exercising appropriately.
Not starving yourself and not becoming crazy with exercise.
Right. If you're exercising, if you feel you have to exercise 2 and 3 and 4 hours a day and really restrict in order to maintain a certain weight, that is not your realistic weight.
Okay, so now we've got people, they've come up with their ideal weight and their realistic
Right.
weight. Now you say they have to come up with a realistic time frame for losing weight.
Correct.
How do you figure that?
So that's the math. 3,500 calories equals 1 pound. You have to create a deficit to lose weight.
So you're saying if you want to lose a pound a week, you have to eliminate 3,500 calories
in 1 week.
In 1 week, which boils down to 500 a day.
Correct. And you can do that either by adding exercise or cutting back on calories.
Okay, we've got a meal here. We've got a day of meals here. And from what I understand, minus what I'll cover right over
Yes.
here, this is 1,800 calories a day.
Right.
Okay? So you wouldn't starve yourself with this.
No, and I think even a lot of people who are dieting would never sort of allow themselves to eat good whole food, real meals, real food. This is a lot of food, but it's 1,800.
Okay, so let's say this is what I'm consuming in a given day for a given week. Then to lose a pound a week, I've got to eliminate, you know, a little bit of these calories.
So if you're adding exercise, and this is the other thing, it kind of depends where you are on your exercise, but let's say you haven't been exercising and you start walking 3 miles a day.
Okay.
And you cut out then 200 to 300 calories. That would be making the bowl of soup a cup.
Okay, so taking basically a cup away.
And, right. Take away the roll, you still have a nice meal. And take away, instead of 2 tablespoons of chocolate sauce for a snack at night, you have 1 tablespoon of chocolate sauce on top of strawberries.
So really you haven't changed the meal structure all that much, except for maybe the roll and a little bit of soup.
Right.
And you've managed to then create that deficit that will help you lose 1 pound a week.
Right. Now, that's 500 calories a day times 7. Even if you don't do that every single day, because it's not always realistic that you're going to achieve your goal every day, all is not lost. So you might lose 3/4 of a pound that week. You don't have to throw it all out the window and then sort of
But it's changing your mindset. It's not looking for that immediate big reward. It's looking for the slow and steady race.
Correct, and which is much more sustainable.
Men and women, do they have the same ability to reduce weight? In other words, is it harder for women to reduce weight than it is men?
Well, first of all, men typically have more lean mass, and they're starting at higher caloric level. So they have more room to cut back without being restrictive. The other thing that makes us less than simple is it's not always as simple as just I'm going to eat the right foods, right? We know there are influencers. Like some people are more sensitive to cues. They see food, seafood. They want to eat
diet,
it, right? So they want to eat it. So they see a pizza commercial, they crave pizza. They walk by a bakery, all of a sudden they want that. Or our appetite regulators. We don't all work the same. We don't all recognize the cues in the same way. So there are a lot of things, obstacles, time management, whether we distribute our calories evenly throughout the day. We know people who eat breakfast have lower body mass index than people who don't eat breakfast. So there are a lot of things that go into it.
So all these things that influence you take into account. But again, the idea here is to shoot for a pound a week and maybe just a little bit less. And to do that, you got to lose 500 calories, get rid of 500 calories per day over the course of that week.
You got it.
Heidi Skolnik. Seems simple enough. Let's see if some people out in the audience can try it and actually have success with it. We appreciate it. And when we come back, the American swimmer who